Hello, welcome to Campaign Comrades. I am your very sick host, Ben. Apologize for my nasaliness. But I've got Matt and Andrew with me today.
What
We
up?
are, it's the universe just kind of going with the flow, right? I'm very low energy. Today's podcast is very low energy. Uh, we with due to some scheduling shit, like we moved some things around and like moving our game focus episode to next week, but didn't want to like just do a news
Another
episode
news episode.
in the middle of the month. So just we're keeping it casual today. We're keeping it cash. So
We are
with
we are presenting our fabulous host here, Mr. Ben, with a Medal of Honor for his ability to push through the sickness and be here recording today.
I
President's
told him
Truly.
last night that
salute.
you and I are perfectly capable of doing double episodes because we have done it in the past.
Yeah,
We
but
have.
I mean, I was like, is up into the wire. When we were about to log on, I was like, can I do it?
You see, the real
And
thing would have been you guys never listened to the episode, so we could have just talked about sports for an hour.
pretty sure I listened to the episode that it was just
Yeah,
you
Ben did.
guys.
Yeah,
Ben did
no, it was a
listen.
joke. It was more of a
I listen to episodes more often when I'm not on them.
yeah.
We did sneak in gamer words though, so maybe
Oh
you
no.
did catch
Oh no.
that. Hits.
But yeah, so what's when we talked about like, okay, well, what did we want to do for today? We were just like, oh, let's just like talk about like what we're playing and shit. But so for you guys, I know like you've been playing, doing your job and getting playing a lot of stuff to get through for the episode next week. And obviously we don't want to talk too much about
I was up
that
until
stuff.
like 12:45 last night watching deep cut YouTube videos of the connections between Drakengard and Nier.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you said you were going to go on some deep dive shit. I
Oh
did
yeah.
Interesting.
look into some Drakengard stuff a while back, but like it was way too much for me. I was just like,
Oh yeah.
and because it's like, there's like thousands and thousands of years and shit different. So it's like, yeah, they're
I'm
technically
basically
in the
just
same world.
I want to have a frame of reference for everything. I'm not going to be like, talking about all of this, but
Right.
I want to have the background knowledge so that I can properly answer questions and whatnot.
And was Yoko Taro the game director for
For one
Drakengard?
and three, a
Okay.
lot of people consider two not to be canon because he didn't direct it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, you guys have been
Uh,
doing work getting through your various games. I guess we can just leave it at how far into C are you now, Andrew? Into
I
ending
am
C.
like maybe an hour. I haven't done a ton of ending C yet. That's my focus for Monday when I have the day off for Juneteenth because this country is no longer racist.
Absolutely.
Got to make sure you stay closer to your mic there a little bit. You cut out on my
I'm
Dude,
sorry.
end.
saying he's got the day off Juneteenth because the country is no longer racist.
Ah, there we go. I got a half day.
Hey, so for you, you're only half racist.
I had a coworker send in the Teams chat, uh, anonymously, we'll put it, why wasn't it 3/5 of a day? And
Oh no.
and, and I just yeah.
Oh
That
no.
that person's having a meeting with HR.
Yeah, I was gonna say they got a follow-up email from HR about how there's an impromptu
They received
discussion.
another sensitivity training.
Yeah, at the very least. An impromptu sensitivity training about how to get fired.
So what else besides near games have you guys been playing?
Ooh, a fair question. I think I know Matt's answer. I've been sucked in by the 2K machine.
Just playing
I hate to admit it, but I have been sucked in by the 2K machine.
What's your my player right now? A 68 overall, maybe a 70.
No,
Is he getting 8 minutes a game now?
I like to just,
You like to pay to win?
yeah, pretty much, man. Pretty much. I don't have a moral stance against using steroids in 2K, so I use them, and he's an 88 at the moment. So he's very productive. Full starting minutes, although I'm fighting with my GM, too brash, and he wants to trade me, but I'm a rookie and I'm scoring like 25 a game on 70% from 3. So there's no way he's trading me.
Matt, did you see us playing 2K on stream?
Yes, I had you guys on.
Like, you can't actually, like, there's no reason to play actual like defense against Andrew. It's just always know he's going to take a 3 shot.
Yeah,
every single
cheesing.
play, every single play. Assume he's taking the 3.
Yeah,
I was cheesing. I make threes and I'm past dishes. I'm on the Sixers, so I set up Joel Embiid all day.
This is quite the thing. All the stuff you're telling me right now, all coming at me at once. First off, because you're in Philly, fuck you. That's obligatory. Second,
name is Dickie McWilliams Franklin.
Okay.
He's a very tall, ugly white man.
Position?
Say the third.
He's a small forward.
Yes, the best character to build in my player.
Yeah, it really is.
There's literally no reason to build any other.
This game now.
Trying to be a rookie point guard is impossible.
And being a big, you do nothing.
Oh, big. They're like, oh, you're over 6'10". You obviously are going to be tripping over your own feet running up the court.
Yeah.
They're going to throw you in a wide open pass down the lane, and you're going to just absolutely not dunk that and just do the worst layup and miss off the backboard.
Your hands are made of stone, so like 50% chance you won't even catch.
You are a bumbling idiot. You are.
You were chiseled out of the quarry in Latvia.
Glad that they never fixed that either, because bigs have always sucked to play as.
It's never been fixed. I just want to make Joker. I just want to make a Jokic player, and I can't because like he won't. Because
he's not real.
Exactly. It would be game breaking to have that build.
This is slowly turning into sports talk.
Yeah.
Which is what it's going to be in next month, right? When we're doing sports games.
Yeah, I don't want to go.
We should ball the game.
Yeah.
Sports ball the movie. Sports ball the TV set.
Wait until I pull the deep cut and grab all of the Casey Powell lacrosse games.
Casey Powell lacrosse games.
Oh man, I feel like lacrosse
I always forgot about those.
Has got to be a difficult one to translate to the Vigi games.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like hockey,
but it's like I feel like the physics has got to be more difficult. Like
all you gotta do is take the physics sim from Quidditch World Cup 2003 of them passing the quaffle and translate that to lacrosse sticks, and boom, you're good.
They have the technology.
They're making a new Quidditch game, except worse in every way.
Do you think that's just because they didn't have Quidditch in Hogwarts Legacy?
I think that was the plan the entire time.
Yeah, I think they left it out because they knew they were going to make a game.
Can't eat into potential profits. Let's segregate every possible profitable element and give as much bloat as possible. And
yeah, man, we have to exploit the Lord of the Rings franchise.
Do you think that was a translation error, or
I do think it was a little bit of a translation error, but I'm not gonna let that stem the fact that their goal right now is just to make as many Lord of the Rings games as they can, which
those
with
damn
Embracer Group
Swedes.
scares the shit out of me
Yeah,
because
those damn Swedes are demonic, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe it
I
was a
can't wait till
translation
Gollum
error.
sweared.
They definitely. Either way, that's what they meant. Like, they
Yeah.
definitely meant that.
If it wasn't a translation error, it's a Freudian slip.
Yeah. Like where you want to, instead of using the word like leverage, he just used something that's like a little more explicit.
We want to make the Lord of the Rings franchise one of the preeminent ones in gaming. That sounds better.
Yeah.
And then you say you have like 5 games in the next 2 years playing, and you're like, okay, that's
But
not.
we've already done that. The PS2 era was
Yeah.
held up entirely by the movie tie-ins.
I mean, Return of the King was a
Such a
good
good game.
PS2 game.
So good.
I don't know.
I don't remember making it very far in that game, but I do
I
remember
definitely
playing
didn't beat it.
because that one like the game starts with the Battle of Helm's Deep.
Yeah.
And I remember making it to the Dimalt Road, where you go to the place under the mountain to
Mhm.
the undead. I remember
I
getting to
struggled
there.
with the Undead King for when I was a kid,
It was spooky.
like getting there.
It was
It was
spooky.
spooky. I got a little bit farther than that, but I know I didn't beat the game.
That's the last bit I remember. Is get going under the mountain. That was it. That was all I remember. Like that's the what sticks out in my mind. But
You know
I
what the
remember
best time? Let's just be old men curmudgeoning for a second.
Yeah.
Do you know what makes that the best time in gaming? The internet existed, but it wasn't nearly what it is today. So if you were having trouble in those games, you just kind of had to figure it out. Like if you didn't have a guidebook, that was it. You either
yeah,
figured it out or you didn't.
or you just kind of you moved on and you went to something
Yeah.
else.
You
Think
you
that's
went back to
like
playing Jack and Daxter.
that's probably like the genesis of why I am so ADHD riddled when it comes to games is because as a kid, when I butt up against those sections, I would try for a little bit, but eventually I'd be like, this is for fun, and I'm not.
Damn it, my internet is fucking bugging out.
But
My internet is bugging and keeps freezing a little bit and it's telling me your internet connection is unstable. I'm sure it'll be fine. But yeah, no, yeah, I don't know. It's just like the games I played back in the day is just well, you know what I did is I had a neighbor who was like my video game guru. And so I remember in particular this bit in Ratchet and Clank. I forget which of the games, but just like for the life of me, I'm just fucking stuck. Like I can't figure out how to progress, like to move
And
on.
call them in like the big brother.
Yep, and he came over and figured it out in fucking 10 seconds. I even remember the segment. It was like this bit where, so it's like you're trying to get up these little bit of platforms, but like you can't jump high enough,
Yeah.
and it's like you're trying to get like Clank up high enough or something, and they're like these magnet things going on where it's like you suspend him in this magnet thing, and I just like couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do with that. But basically, it's like you turn it into a slingshot. It was like you would slingshot him up over the
I know what you're
ledge,
talking about.
and I got stuck on that. It was just like I almost had to give up, but then called him over and saw me through. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, I was.
hell yeah.
There
I
was
had plenty.
community in that.
I had
Like
plenty of games where I did like I didn't fully finish. I've told you this story before, like
I never liked not finishing games. It
oh
always
yeah,
bothered me.
but the speaking
Not
of
surprised to hear that.
the heyday of video game movie tie-ins, I loved Star Wars: The Revenge of the Sith PS2 game,
Yeah, that was
and
a good one.
I largely played it to the point where um it was like towards the end of the PS2 life cycle, and my PS2, or at least my memory cards, were like corrupted. So I couldn't make new saves.
Hmm.
So I would just throw it in, start fresh, and just play it for however long I could. And that would usually get me to like the fight with Mace Windu.
It's like a
And
roguelike, except it doesn't change.
yeah, that was it. But it's like, how long can I sit here? Like
And
in
yeah,
how far
can I
can I get
win?
in one session? How much time do I have before I have to turn the console off and all my progress is lost forever?
I miss I miss tie-in games. The one I still think about not finishing. I don't know if either of you ever played this. It was a James Bond
GoldenEye.
game. It wasn't a movie game when they not GoldenEye. It was more recent than that. It was James Bond 007 Everything or Nothing. I got to the last mission, the last level. You would have to clear this room, and then the big bad would be waiting for you. I could never figure out how to actually get to him to kill him and end the game. And I never beat it because by the time the internet was ubiquitous enough, that console and game were not something I was using.
That was a GameCube game.
It was PS2.
As I'm Googling it now, I mean, I guess
I
it's just
probably
multiple
could play it
platforms.
now.
It's coming up everywhere on GameCube. Is this on GameCube?
Yeah, it's everywhere. It was even on Game Boy Advance apparently,
No, I see that here as well. I see Game Boy Advance. Yeah, that's
which
hilarious.
I mean,
not
that
that
was
would not be
also
fun.
a thing back then. You'd have a GameCube version, then like a really dumbed down Game Boy Advance version. A good way
Yeah,
to get twice the money on.
a release. They there was another game that also came out then, which I wish this one is one that I want them to bring back. You played as the villain in a James Bond story, and it was very fun. Because you had
One could
all
argue
these
you
like
play as the villain in
super
Near.
cool evil weapons. Oh, there you go. There we go. We could talk about that next week. Those are fun. I want James Bond games to come back. I would
There was that
non-tie-in,
Double O
just
Seven GoldenEye with
play
Daniel
as James
Craig on the
Bond.
Wii. What do you mean?
I like do recall that
They did
there
make
was some
tie-in games to this.
Daniel Craig, James
I
Bond.
never played any of them.
No, it's 100% a real game. I'm telling you.
Yeah, there's a Quantum of Solace game, Casino Royale game.
Did you use
That's it.
the Wiimote as a gun? Did you use the
Yeah, you
gun
had to point.
accessory?
I
The
mean, yeah,
gun
you could also have
accessory?
the. Imagine if. Do you know how broken the Wii accessory game would have been if 3D printers were widely available back then?
Oh yeah. So they're
There
just
would be
selling
like
this cheap ass plastic at a huge markup.
And we eat it.
AK-47 Wiimote.
We love it. Oh God, no.
Now I want it. But that actually, there's something I wanted to talk about. And maybe this is something we would discuss later in a later podcast. But uh, Ben, you sent a tweet that I had seen this week, and I think it was this week, regarding the intricacy and depth and scale of video games just being way too much at this point
Oh
and
yeah. Yeah,
fucking
oh
with the
yeah.
development cycle. And I think these like James Bond games are like good examples of like just make something that's like a fun 8 hour game and like people will be happy. Like bring back fucking, like the Burnout series. Like some of these like games that were a little more arcadey, we don't really get anymore from
That's why I
these
enjoyed.
bigger
That's why I
studios.
enjoyed Evil West so
Hi-Fi Rush.
much.
Mm,
That's one too. But like, say, Evil West is a more
yeah,
recent one. That's like, it was like 12 hours. All the reviewers, were basically like, this is a video game ass video game, right? And it's like really
yeah,
definitely true. And but yeah, so like yeah, that tweet I sent is just like how these like 5 to 10 year development cycles are just completely untenable. I saw someone else, I think part of a similar discussion was like talking about like yeah, like it's like creatively very bad for the developers
yeah,
too. It's like you don't want to be, no creative wants to be working on like the same project for that fucking long. And it's also really precarious for devs because it's like you can be in the spot where you have a decade of experience but no shipped games because like what if it doesn't fucking what if it gets stuck in development hell. And like they have this problem like that we see with all these studios. They have this churn of employees. They have this lack of a pool of candidates for senior positions, because they just burn the fuck out because of crunch, because of the serious overscaling of these projects. And then they go and just work for like a fucking software management, they go make financial software for three
yeah.
times the salary.
And
So
the
it's
it's
definitely a
bad for the
problem.
devs. It's bad for everyone. And like one of the other things that I really thought that tweet, it didn't highlight a lot, but it mentioned that I thought is a big part of it too, is that like they try to put cultural, they try to capture cultural zeitgeist and make
Oh right,
references.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like
yeah,
those are all stale by the time the game comes out. And
yeah.
it's
You can't be doing that when your game takes fucking 7 years. Like like with like the speed of meme culture and that type of shit.
yeah,
Like that like a meme is done to death. Within the first month now.
right.
So yeah, all these jokes have nowhere to land. Uh, when these games just seem out of touch, out of date,
Yes.
immediately
Do you know
when
what
they
doesn't
have
seem out of touch now to date immediately? Final Fantasy 16.
because they're reclaiming their roots.
They're bringing it back to a simpler time,
While I
and
agree
just
with
telling a
you,
story for one character is okay.
even that is still supposedly reference like everyone, what you sent something, Matt, where it's like everyone's like this is what Game of Thrones should be. And like while Game of Thrones has kept some of its cultural relevance, like even that in and of itself is kind of like a, at this point, stale comparison.
Yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see how everyone who's getting a hands on has just been
Not that yeah, no.
raving about the story. So people are still hungry for granted, yes, it is a sign of executive class being out of touch. Every major streaming service is still trying to create their Game of
Yeah,
Thrones,
still exactly.
and none of them fucking land.
You didn't like the Lord of the Rings Amazon production?
Oh my god, I stopped watching that shit. I stopped watching that
I think I
trash.
watched 2 episodes, and I think they were both with you.
Yeah, same. I didn't watch any more than that.
It's like, yeah, you guys were like visiting when the series premiered, so we're like, oh yeah, let's check it out, and it fucking sucked. It was bad. It was real bad, but
I
not
was
for any of the
gonna
reasons that the majority of people claim. It's just was terrible writing. Like they gave control to like one of the biggest media properties ever to people who had never written for TV before. This was like their first project.
seems like a smart decision there, huh? Really paid off.
I wonder if there's like a tax write off for that, if it counts as like charity.
Definitely with some, they just do some accounting and they're like, look, we didn't make money here. Tax write off.
We lost money, so we made money.
Yeah. It's funny how that works.
So Matt, how crazy are you starting to get in Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah, yeah.
What's the most recent, like you've texted me and said like, I'm starting to move more into my Raytheon era
Yeah. What's
and
your greatest
create
atrocity?
yeah.
All right. So I've built a large glider that functions. So it's a big plank base, two wing gliders on either end of it, with double stack rocket boosters, fans, control stick, a cart underneath it so I can land it on the ground and drive on the ground. And then it's got flamethrowers on the front, uh, lightning rods in the back. Usually just ride around on that,
just
stack it with
tool
batteries.
say tooling around, casually genociding some bokoblins.
I haven't found laser attachments yet, so that'll adjust things.
It's like that's one thing. Obviously, I've having not played yet, like been like confused on like how they've designed the laser things because basically they must have known like what they were doing with that because they home in on people. Like
Yeah,
they
they're like a
are.
guardian laser.
It's pretty nuts. It's like they're like yeah they knew that what people were going to create what
Yeah, I mean, like a kid in a candy store. Whenever I'm on a sky island and see a Zonai vending machine that I
That's
can just
so,
drop things in to get pieces.
yeah, like that's my question about this game is like it seems like these people who are building these ridiculous contraptions just, I just see them and I'm like, how long are you resource farming to make this? Like it seems like
I mean,
hours.
once you've built something, you can technically build it without all of the components for the cost of just one resource.
that's the auto build thing,
Yep,
right?
in that cost zonite, which you can just go down to the undercity or the underground and find that fairly abundantly.
Okay. That helps that make some more sense.
Yeah. It's a
How,
it's a build it once and then you can auto build it from as little as or as much as you have.
okay, that's a cool mechanic.
Yeah. It's you have to you have to do at least one dungeon to get to auto build. They don't give that to you until you've done one of the dungeons.
And
Are the
how far have you progressed in the story? I know
That's
you
I've
said you
done one dungeon story wise. I've really just been marking off. So there's this cool interaction. Spoilers, I guess. I don't know if anyone cares. Should I say this? Uh,
whatever.
where the underground where the light roots are that you find that illuminate sections,
Mhm.
they are below directly a shrine on the overworld. So there's been a lot of like, oh, I found a light route, like go, like shift the map up a layer, be like, oh, I
Put a
haven't found a shrine there, like put a
put a
pin
put a
down.
put a mark down.
Or
Cool.
if I like reverse, like, oh, I found a shrine here, like lower the map a layer, like, oh, I haven't found a light route, like put a pin down to know to go look for that, and kind of like interconnecting those webs.
That's a cool, that's, I like that. That's a cool way of connecting your two different sections of map.
It's the thing that they've done really well is that because the base overworld is technically the same, relatively speaking, there's changes, obviously.
Mhm.
But like the layout is still the same as it was in the first game. Instead of forcing you to like run around and re-explore on the ground again, or like via horse, or even just like on a cart now or something like that. Uh,
The air bike is everybody's go-to.
Yes, that's a common one. It's pretty cheap as well.
It's like two fans and a control thing, and you're just tooling
Yeah.
around.
Yep.
You're zooming.
And if you're underground, you just attach a light to it, and you can.
Yeah, that's what I've seen somebody do that. You put like there's like a flower or something that emits a light, and you just
Yeah.
you tool around there, and you do all your mapping out of the
Yeah,
zone that way.
that's one of the really cool things, though. Like, for a Switch game, no less. Uh, when you go to the depths and you haven't found any light route yet, it's completely dark. And the only way to illuminate is to attach like bright bloom seeds and throw them around so that they illuminate smaller sections so that you can see. Uh, and as you illuminate and continue on in the game, your bright bloom seeds remain where they were throughout the depths that you place. So your exploration gets saved and those resources don't get wasted.
Cool.
Which is a really cool, like, I was surprised by that because I figured the Switch would deload those.
Like I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's pretty impressive for the Switch to do like persistent type changes like that. That's pretty cool. I just like I don't know when I'm gonna. I know I need to play it before the end of the year. Like it is a necessity, and I guess that's a good enough transition to talk about. Like I know we're not really doing news, but like, and we've done some reactions on Twitch. Folks follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/campaign
We
comrades.
haven't talked about Armored Core.
But like, yeah, so we haven't like talked about like just like our our highlights from Summer Game Fest, but like I want to frame it rather than that. It's like just because it's basically the second half of the year is starting to shape up. And as I was looking at things, one, I was like thinking about what I've played this year so far. And I've played a bunch of games, right? But I've been thinking I was like looking back at my physical calendar, and I'm like, where I keep track of all my all release dates and shit like that. Um, I was like, okay, but like, what games that like released this year? Excuse me,
More spoken.
have I actually played? And it's the reality is not a lot, not a lot of games that actually released this year
It
have
was
I
a
played.
relatively weak start to the year.
I mean, there were some good ones, but like, and there were some there, but like, really didn't for a few months now. Like, I have not really played any full games that are new. But like, so let's see. Like, I played Fire Emblem, Hi-Fi Rush, um, Atomic Heart, Metroid Prime. Now I've played, and I feel like that might be it. The Horizon Forbidden West DLC, but that's not a full game. But yeah, that's it of things that have released this year that I have played so far. And there are some that have released that I do want to play. Obviously, Tears of the Kingdom being at the top of that list. Like I want to play the 40K Bolt Gun game. I have Advance Wars 1 and 2 remake in my queue. That's probably my next Switch game. But like yeah, there's like there really like has been a lot, but then as the second half of the year is filling out, it is looking like there's a bunch of shit that like I'm trying to play. Like obviously Final Fantasy 16 is the
Next
is the
week.
is the most imminent one. But then obviously the big two really for me are Armored Core and Baldur's Gate 3. But then you also have like Lies of P,
Spiderman.
Spider-Man, the fucking Far Cry on Pandora.
Theoretically Starfield.
I like already know I'm not gonna play that.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, like, there's a theoretical world out
I
there
don't
where
have enough
Starfield
time.
releases and like Todd isn't lying.
I simply don't have enough time to play all these other games and search through over 1,000 planets.
You're gonna put on your
it's not possible. It's just not possible.
You're gonna strap into your VR cockpit.
Because even some of the positive shit that like are people who are positive on, which is a lot of people, and most people, most reactions to the Starfield presentation and shit has been pretty much all positive. Like several people who are on the whole very positive about the game are basically saying like, yeah, the one thing that still hasn't sold me is the story and the characters. They seem very bland and tacked on, which is like what I was saying like on our stream where we were looking at shit where it was just like, yeah, this should have just been a sandbox game. But if they did that, it would have been too much like No Man's Sky. It literally just would have been a gray version of No Man's Sky. Like putting a story and characters are like the only way to make it like an RPG version of No Man's Sky.
I mean, I've enjoyed the people doing the shot for shot recreation of the Starfield trailer in No Man's Sky.
Right. From their showcase like a year ago or whatever. Their showing, that is, from like a year ago, that was like, yeah, that was the whole thing. It's just like, yep, you're mining for resources, clearing out enemy compounds, yet you can't even fly your fucking ship in the air. We can wait a little bit into like the whole 30 frames per second discourse type of thing, but somebody like made this point that this made me want to bring up. That's like they're doing all the things to try to make it so you could do 60 frames. Like they're doing like the whole you can't fly there is no seamless flying of ship in between atmosphere to
loading
orbit
buffers.
for to be able to they're making these concessions, all the things that you would do to be able to make a hit like a performance mode, yet it still can't do that. Like, I don't understand why people are like, this seems so much more complex than any other open world game. Like, why this is so demanding on your CPU versus other, equally, or I don't know about that. I don't know technically enough about, but like,
we've made the joke of like Starfield having to run at 30 frames per second doesn't look better than Forbidden West, which has a 120 frames per second mode.
Yeah, and Horizon looks better, even not on a fidelity mode, like the graphics look better.
That's
Yeah,
because the
maybe
Decima engine is magical.
it's just like, yeah, I don't know like what the excuse is for why that's not possible. I don't see why this game is more complex than
You're the Patrick Bateman meme right now.
why is
Just
it
not
possible.
possible.
Tell me why not, you stupid bastard. Yeah, I'm like I'm shaking Todd. Just what the fuck? Tell me why.
Especially because they say like they like their language around it is really weird in that they are like it runs at 30 frames and above and usually above, but we're locking it at 30 frames is just like such a strange way of saying that they're locking it. Like
Well,
just
it's a
like,
way to be like, oh
saying
yeah,
that they
our
can't
game
even
is
take
incredibly
advantage of
consistent.
a 40 hertz
It's like
VRR mode.
our game is incredibly inconsistent, so we must arbitrarily lock it so that you're not completely thrown off when it looks really smooth, and then goes back to chugging, chugga 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 chugga. Like
he should have locked it to 24 frames per second and said it's to be cinematic.
People have talked about that. Like, you remember the I forget now which look into it, but it was the one where Todd was like talking to people, like talking, and the game was playing in the background. People are like, "Oh yeah, that looks like shit," but that's because they're doing that video in 24 frames because that's like the documentary style. He's like, okay, guy. I don't know. It's just like the reviews for it will have to be so spectacular that like,
are you thinking? I think they're going to be. I think no matter what, unless this game is like just completely broken,
unless it launches in a terrible state.
yeah. I think you're gonna see.
I think Microsoft has deep enough pockets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that they can pay for enough like pre-media hype to get it like cyberpunked at the very least, because like Cyberpunk launched horribly on console and still was like one of the top trending games for months as people were still playing it.
It's interesting you bring up Cyberpunk because that's one of the ones where it's it kind of ties into the couple of things we've talked about today and like these insane development cycles and how these games kind of release. And I just am Cyberpunk makes me very while I do think it's now a good game personally, and I've enjoyed my return to it since they fixed it. That being done the way it's done, I think just adds an excuse even beyond like it's even greater than like the No Man's Sky story. And now we're gonna even have people just
Well, yeah, because
Cyberpunk.
both of them set the standard for people that every bad game can technically be a good game.
Exactly.
And it's not true, because there are some games that no matter how much you try to fix them, just fundamentally will not change the fact that the game itself is not good.
Yeah. And like if it takes you 10 years to do it, then just don't do it. Like just do something else. Let's like
Yeah, but if they do, you don't understand. If it takes them, let's say it takes them 6 years to fix it total. So they released the game originally. 6 years from now, they release a complete edition remaster with all of the DLC and like the final patched version. And now because multi-platform, now it's on now it's not Epic Game Store exclusive. It's on Steam and Xbox, PlayStation as well. And then 4 years later, they release a cloud Switch version when the Switch is on its last limbs, dying.
All right, boss.
Yeah, I'm tired, Grandpa. That's my personal favorite version of that one.
Too damn bad.
Because that's me to my SolidWorks machine at work. It's like always towards the end of a Friday because I leave it on the entire week. I shut SolidWorks off, but towards the end of the week, it'll be like, I'm tired, Grandpa. I don't want to save this assembly no more. Please. You keep turning it transparent, and that takes a lot of rendering power.
Just wheezing at you.
Yeah, I want to install a janky turbo button on the side of my computer that I can hit. That'll like turn up the overclock the CPU and hit the fans harder.
Explosion at battery developer after engineer overrides computer. SolidWorks work.
Engineer uploads himself to the Matrix.
Yeah.
But speaking of all these technological advancements, how excited are we for Armored Core?
Oh my god,
dude, it looks so good.
Oh my god, I'm very excited. It is everything I was hoping it would look like. The response has been very interesting to me, though.
I mean, I'm not like tuned in enough because, like, again, like I've grown to loathe most quote unquote gamers, so like I don't follow like like I'm not on Reddit, I don't do that shit. So like I'm not seeing all like the terrible posting that you've been
the number one thing that people are pissed about is that there's a hard lock.
Yes, the hard lock, soft lock.
But it's not but it's like you still have both options.
Yeah,
it makes no sense to me, the argument.
You can just choose not to hard lock. It's a button press.
Because the reason there's a hard lock is because the combat speed is increased. So
yeah, but you can just choose not to do it. It's a button press.
You could disable it in the settings, probably.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to the retro game place and
no, the timing has worked out that every time I've been thinking to do it, it's been pouring rain, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool.
It's been torrential downpouring here, on and off.
When was the last Armored Core game released?
2012.
Okay.
Armored Core V-Day for PS3.
Like, yeah, how dare they, like take their, decade plus now of continued
Yeah.
experience and success and,
Of
work
making beloved combat ARPGs.
like what the fuck? Like you can't even call that an ARPG, But
Yeah,
like fucking Diablo is an ARPG. Like
I
that's
know.
its own fucking thing. Like, and we've talked about this in the past. Fucking genre definitions are less than helpful, or
Yes.
like
Let's
actually
just get
like
rid of them all together
harmful.
and just call them games again.
Like,
Everything needs to be called Mario.
Mario. Mario Core.
I
hell yeah,
mean,
I'm down for some
Nintendo
some
has
Mario.
ventured into the mecha genre before with Kirby.
That's
Uh,
like that's on my list. Yeah, like that's one of like the best 3DS games is the Kirby
yeah,
Planet Robobot.
yeah,
I got my little Kirby plushie right behind me.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Uh,
No, dude, Armored Core is going to be. I'm so ready to strap in. I'm ready to be a Raven.
what kind of build do you think you're gonna go for? Heavy, light, balanced?
You see, I feel like I always go into these games wanting to do a light, speedy build, and then
And
end up somewhere.
you
I'm going
always
to
end
end
up
up like
going
as a
Oonga Boonga.
quadruped.
Always end up just Oonga Boonga.
Yeah, I'm probably going to end up as like a quadruped wielding like
Well, because
a shield.
we've seen the ones that have like where it's literally like tank treads.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like that's like the heavy build.
It's sick.
yeah.
I'm
Because
I'm
that,
going light. I'm always light and speedy. I usually choose the quick builds for these types of
'Cause
games.
I honestly feel like uh the slower, heavier builds actually require more precise timing
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
because like you just actually like you have less wiggle room
I mean,
because
you can
you
even
have to
see that
time your
in.
strikes correctly. You have to your windows are much more narrow because your animations are so much fucking longer.
You can see that in challenge runs and stuff as it is for Souls games.
Yeah, absolutely.
When even these very talented Souls players, who've set world records or whatever it is, when they end up with a run where they're like heavy rolling or something like that, you watch them struggle really hard because it's just it's just not something they're used to the timing on, like how much longer every animation takes, like how much safer you have to play because you don't have those chances to get away.
And that's precisely why I always go light and speedy.
I like more speed and one I think it's visually more pleasing. I like the frenetic action, like to
Yeah.
get kinetic styled with it. But yeah, I'm probably gonna go fast.
See, that's interesting because I always want to try heavy but I've learned my
Same.
lesson over the years that is just always a little bit too much more of a difficulty gap for me. Like all the giant weapons in Elden Ring, I want to wield those, but I just
But
know
they
I
look so
will fuck
cool.
it
They look
up.
so cool.
I
Yes.
already know I don't like two-handed swords and replicant.
Oh no, they're bad.
They don't feel right. There's something
They
off about them.
they're very bad. So you've gotten to that point already?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, they're very bad. They're very bad. I don't like.
Spears feel nice.
I told you, Phoenix Spear is the best weapon in the game, but spears in Replicant are better than they are in Automata.
Yes.
Spears have a much slower move set
Heavy swords
in
and automata are
Automata,
much better than they are
right?
in replicant.
Right, because you can use them as combos.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Because while I did not play Replicant, the Automata Spear is the weapon I used for pretty much the whole game.
It's not
I
that the
only
automata spear is bad.
right,
No, I
right.
know.
I only don't like it because of coming from Replicant
Yeah.
Fair enough.
and loving how fast the because it's like you have the highest damage output, but also fast, at least as fast, if not even in some cases faster than the light swords.
Hmm.
In Replicant, like one-handed swords, but like two-handed swords are so fucking slow.
Yeah.
you start off that first encounter in part 2, and like that was the last time I used it.
Yep, I
Like,
swapped
well,
off it to a spear immediately
it was like,
after
well,
like
it's like, well, I will never be touching that again.
the fact that its main combo is slow enough that if you can break an enemy's guard, they can recover their guard before you can get the next swing off is quite an
That's not fair.
interesting.
I don't know. I don't. I guess the only part of it, when I never tried this, like again in Replicant, the strategy actually became, rather than like dodging and shit, like the perfect dodge
Deflect, 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 deflect.
is the mechanic. It's just you parry and then do a super hit. You parry and hit right after, and you do crazy damage. So you just like delete HP off of. You just stand right in front of the big guys, parry them, big hit, wait for the next hit, parry, big hit. That was the way to do it. But yeah, Phoenix Spear. I'm pretty sure that's at the facade shop. Matt, I'm pretty
I'll
sure
check.
it's in the desert. It's at the desert town shop. Um, Absolutely worth it. Best weapon in the game. Yeah, so I wanted to, so we've got our our sights set on what we want to play coming up. Like there is actually quite a decent array of things on the horizon for the rest of the year. Granted, there's probably going to be some delays here and there.
Yo, imagine Starfield gets delayed.
Hilarious.
I don't think it will.
I don't think it will either. But
You think Phil Spencer would kill Todd?
that would be very
Yes.
funny. But like, man, people are like, oh yeah, September is looking so jam packed, and it's like, yeah, if you're playing Starfield. But honestly, it's the last week and a half of August.
Yeah,
You've
that's
got
Yep.
you've got Armored Core on Friday the 25th, and then Baldur's Gate the 31st.
I wanted to ask how you're going to prioritize there. For you, that's like 2 enormous games.
I mean, I would assume Armored Core is not going to be that long.
And Armored Core is also mission based.
That's
Yeah,
fair. That's fair.
they're level based. I'm
That's
assuming
fair.
it's going to be very much along the length of, say, like a Demon Souls remake.
You're right. You're right. That will probably be like what, 12 to 16 hours.
It's
I would
one of
say,
those. There's
I would
going to be
say,
like a
I'd say
multiplayer aspect of it,
25
like an
at
arena.
most for a single playthrough.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
So there's
so-
going to be people who have hundreds of hours in that game, but it's going to all be in
Oh,
like the
yeah.
arena.
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like if I get that day one, there is a chance I can finish that by the time Baldur's Gate comes out. I doubt it. I'm probably gonna have to put off Baldur's Gate a little bit, but that's gonna like, yeah, like for people who are like, I follow like a couple channels on YouTube that like are like big, like CRPG and RPG channels. Like for them, it's gonna suck to play Baldur's Gate, and then less than a week after that is Starfield. I don't know how they're gonna. I don't know how those folks are gonna do that. But luckily, I do not have to count myself amongst them. But then I have like 3 weeks before I want to play Lies of P. And then there's some smaller games. Like October's looking pretty busy.
Are you not interested in Spider-Man?
But that's October.
Oh, okay. I thought it was September.
No, it's October. Everyone thought it was September, but no, it's October.
Yeah, it's early October, right? Like October
No,
7th or something.
it's
like
October 20th. But like I've got a like a indie-ish game that I'm looking at, Lamplighters League, the first week of October. Then got Assassin's Creed Mirage, Lords of the Fallen. Like I'm obviously gonna wait and see what people say about that, and that can wait. Um, I'll be paying attention to Alan Wake 2, but I'm not gonna be playing Alan Wake 2.
I'm Alan Wake, and I'm a writer.
Alan Wake, more like Alan Woke. But yeah, I will be playing Spider-Man 2 for sure. And then things, taper off a little bit. But I'm currently playing Dragon's Dogma, tried to stream it last night with Matt joining, but it did not like me trying to share its screen and stream it at the same time. Game kept freezing, and I was feeling like shit. So I was just like, okay, that's a no for me.
Yep. And then you played the game after, and it was fine. So
It's
it
totally fine.
definitely.
It was totally fine after
That's
that.
weird.
So it was really weird. But like, it's that was like a highlight for me, seeing the stuff for Dragon's Dogma 2 coming out. Like, I'm after, I'm about halfway through at least the main quest line. There's a pretty big DLC that I'll want to do probably before Endgame. Um, but like, I'm like about halfway through, and I have some like, it's like a fucking 12-year-old game at this point. Even though the Dark Arisen version is like a remake or like a
Yeah.
remaster.
Is it the Dark Arisen version brought it to the current gen of consoles, which was PS4 at the time, the PS4, Xbox One,
yeah, so
and Switch.
it's like I've got some like nitpicks with it, like how it's got with how much loot there is in the game, it's got an incredibly restrictive uh uh fuck, what are they, encumbrance
Inventory.
system.
Oh yeah,
Like the gear that I'm wearing puts me at, puts me into like the light, or no, puts me into the average, puts me into the middle road, and then, picking up any loot whatsoever puts me into heavy, which like affects your run speed, your stamina regain. So yeah, that's a little bit frustrating, and like the way you have to access inventory menus, including how you access like healing items, is very clunky. Those are my two big things, my two big complaints with it. Like, I really don't like, it's just like I don't like RPGs that like have so much fucking loot yet restrict how much you can carry and pick up. Like, Elden Ring is great. Like, you pick up all the fucking things you want, but the only things that count towards your encumbrance
what
or
you have
whatever
equipped.
is what you have equipped. Your inventory is limitless. It's
I
just like
mean, From
shit I
Software
don't want
has
to deal with.
From Software has gone through their versions, because when Demon Souls originally launched, you had a limited inventory. So if you went into a level and all of a sudden towards the end you found a really cool weapon
Yeah.
and you had stuff in your inventory and couldn't pick it up, couldn't pick
Yeah,
up the
so
weapon.
yeah, so the
Had
the
to go
re
back and dump that stuff out, and then
the remake like made one quality of life improvement, but then added back another thing to balance it. So it's like, yeah, you could send shit directly to storage from the level, so you didn't have to do
yes,
that. But then they added weight to your healing items,
yep.
so all your fucking grass and shit was just so fucking heavy. It was
So that
ridiculous.
you wouldn't hoard 100 of each.
I towards the end, I did end up having at least 100
Oh yeah,
or like 99 spice. Uh, but oh man,
but like
it's
that's why for
It's not
like Elden Ring,
flasks
the
in that
reason
one.
they did it.
no, it's like the
No,
first
it's
they did.
grass. It's a
Yeah, it is a
farmable consumable.
yeah. That was like when the tough levels that I had. It was like I was the toughest bits of those levels were I wasn't making any progress, and
But you were losing
every
resources.
attempt I would do, I would be burning through resources, which then would make each subsequent run that much more stressful and that
Yep.
much more difficult. Um,
I
and
always would
I'm
unlock the
not gaining
ritual
I'm
path.
not gaining runes, like I'm not like or the equivalent, I'm not gaining souls, like, so I can't even go and buy new ones. Like, it was a hairy
I was
spot.
I was always healthily unlocking the ritual path and going and killing that first shade, the
Oh,
first
oh well,
rebirth.
yeah, no, that is the farm spot
Yeah.
for Demon Souls. Yeah, so yeah, what I would do is, like, particularly once I unlocked Firestorm,
Yep.
I would just run down, do a quick dodge of the Reapers first thing, Firestorm, and just get like 20,000
Yeah.
souls or something. But yeah, so back to Dragon's Dogma, like that's like my real nitpick is the inventory system and how it works to interact with, as well as just the
I don't
collecting.
even know a D&D table that I've ever played at that uses the actual like inventory weight.
I never use encumbrance. It's one more thing I don't need to deal with. And like oh
Because like
yeah, it
even
makes for more
technically bags of
realism.
holding have like a 500-pound limit, which is not.
Nah, fuck that. That's boring. I'm not here for that shit. But speaking of D&D, like that's been like what has been most enjoyable about Dragon's Dogma is that it like feels very much like a D&D campaign. Like you're just going off and doing little adventures. And yeah, there's an overarching story kind of in the background, but it's just you're exploring, finding little dungeons, doing like a decent party composition. Like you've got some built. Like I like how you can kind of reclass your character as you go. I'm thinking of reclassing into like a rogue character to get some skills. Because there's one particular type of enemy. It's a rare enemy, but it's like just negates all magic damage. So as like a sorcerer, like I'm useless. And it's just like a real slog. In order to kill golems, you need to climb on top of them and stab the little, like they've got these magic seals around their
Oh, like
bodies.
real golems.
Yeah. Yeah, it's they're doing Hebraic magic, and
I
I'm
was
here
gonna
for it.
say
Um,
Felix needs to play this game.
I'm sure he has.
Probably did.
But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's cool. I'm excited to see like how they update it with Dragon's Dogma 2, like how they've kind of bring it
Modernize it a little bit.
into modernity. So I am looking forward to and
I
was
can't wait
excited to
until
see
it's
anything
an
for it.
Ubisoft open world clone.
I really hope not. I mean, Capcom is like, fairly set on doing their own thing. So,
Yeah.
but for you guys though, what's beyond Armored Core? What's really on your agenda, on your lookout?
I have two things in mind. Spider-Man 2 is an obvious.
Yeah,
I'm ready. I'm ready for Goop. I
you're
love Goop.
insomniac pilled as well.
Yeah, I'm a huge Insomniac fan. They can do no wrong for me at this point.
Rightfully so.
Wolverine could legitimately make me have to jam knives in between my knuckles to play the game properly, and I would do it because it's how they want the game to be played.
Give a new definition to claw gripping.
Yeah. Um, but I have my eye on what does Nintendo have cooking for the second half of the year? What do
Yeah,
they
I
got?
don't I don't know. I don't know that they've got
That's what I'm
I don't
saying.
know that
Pokemon.
Like
they've got much of
they got
anything.
they there's the rumor of a direct upcoming at the like end of June, early July time frame. And I think it'll show what they'll be doing for the holiday this year.
Yeah,
And like we're gonna get like
I'm on the skeptical side of that. I would assume if they do something, it's going to be something like the partner direct. That's like I don't think they have a lot of first party stuff in the tank right now. Or
well no, I
know
think what you're gonna get,
Nintendo,
if anything, are going to be ports.
right?
I think you're gonna get like the final like stage of the Wii U port cycle.
That would be
Which
cool.
is why I'm thinking like, maybe like a Twilight Princess Wind Waker type thing, a Metroid Prime 2, 3 type thing. Um, something like the Xenoblade Chronicles X, make the Switch the ultimate Xenoblade machine
Mm.
right before its send off. I mean, they've
What
got
are
to
where's
show.
have you seen? I'm assuming you've seen that meme, but like I'm struggling to remember what the comparison was. It was like in the time it's taken for somebody to make one game or whatever, Monolith Soft has done the entire fucking uh
Yes.
Xenoblade franchise
Yeah. I
because they goaded folks.
think it was time between Skyrim and Starfield or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, it was. It was those two. Um, I think that's fair, Matt. Those are good call outs. I would say, besides the usual suspects that have all kind of been named, um, the two that
I know I froze again.
previously excited or aware of was definitely the new Assassin's Creed Mirage. That did get me more interested than I thought I'd be in an Assassin's Creed game at this point.
Yeah.
So I'll give them some flowers there. And then the other is Payday 3, which I don't really know all that much about, but I always thought the first and second looked fun. So I might just dip my toe in and check out Payday 3
From
at
what I
some point.
understand, isn't the Payday series co-op? But my question is it co-op only?
It's
Is there a single player mode?
no,
Isn't
I
it
don't think it's co-op
GTA-ish?
only.
It is GTA-ish, but it's more like heists and that kind of shit,
Yeah, it's like heisty.
Heist
You
exclusive.
Those
plan
are like the
heists.
only cool parts of GTA 5 that I saw was
Exactly.
like a heist thing you had to do
That's what
where you
everybody
had to
did
like
I'm
escape
pretty
on
sure you could play
motorcycles
it.
through a sewer.
That's what everybody did in like the no pixel that what it was called, the role playing, the GTA role playing stuff. They would just do heists.
No, the heists were the
That's
best
because
part.
people yearn for crime.
Yeah, I mean there's a decent amount to be excited about. Like, I was thinking like that this year's not E3 or Key 3 if you want to call it was a little bit lackluster. Um in
It was
reality it's more
missing
like
the underside of games that prop up a good showcase. There wasn't a lot of like smaller stuff that was super enticing.
yeah, and it's like really what we got is like seeing confirmations of dates and stuff for the second half of the year. There weren't any like surprises or big announcements or
I mean,
reveals.
I don't
It's
know if I
largely
was
things
just
we
out
had
of
seen
tune with
before.
it, but I wasn't expecting another Star Wars game announcement.
But we knew that was coming. That had been announced. Like the Ubisoft open world Star Wars was a known quantity. We didn't know what it was. So yeah, getting the details on it was interesting. And I think that has some potential too, right? That looks like it could hit unless they like, make it a
I
standard
mean, Survivor
bog
hit,
stand.
so
Yeah, I don't know. Massive is one of the, if not the only good Ubisoft studio. So I think it has it's got a 50-50
is that
chance,
the
right,
only
of
hope
hitting or
for
not.
Avatar? Because
I
that's
mean,
this
not
year, right? That's December.
that's December, yeah.
Yeah.
But like honestly, that one to me, like it's just it is pretty clear it's Far Cry. It's a Far Cry skin. You're just
I
clearing
think so too.
you're clearing enemy camps and crafting and cooking and doing
Yeah, but
stupid
you see,
RPG
if the
elements.
cooking makes the good sound and the character hums and goes, then it's
Have
okay.
you have you have you caught that when Link cooks, he's humming versions of original classic Zelda songs?
Yes.
I thought that was a nice little detail. Um, yeah. So yeah, we've gone for an hour and 10. So I think unless there's any other things that people want to talk about from these past couple of weeks, it's been like a decent slew of gaming news. So and interesting things. We've got like I've been saying all episode, we've got an interesting 6 months ahead. Let's see if they stay. They can stick with these dates, and hope I kind of hope that like things don't get we're not getting any more basically announcements. Like I'm good with this slate of games. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna struggle to kind of finish all of them anyways.
No,
So
you need more games, more releases.
What was the one that you said? So it was like the Flintlock
Yeah.
game getting pushed to 2024. I am so good with that because that's one that I really would want to play. So I'm happy with not having to fit something else into this schedule. So give it some time. I'm more than happy for it. But all right. I've already mentioned, folks, you can catch us live on twitch.tv/Campaign Comrades or at our YouTube channel, which is Campaign Comrades on YouTube. That I think is about it. Next week, Matt will be leading us through the deep dive into the Yoko Taro Mind Palace as we discuss
I
the
hope
near
you're all
games.
ready. I'm gonna be wearing my Emil head.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
can't wait to be scarred by that.
Yes.
But till then, we will see you in the future. Hopefully, I will be feeling better and sounding not like I'm 6 feet underwater by next week. That is the hope. But we shall see. I'm gonna go probably crawl into bed for the remainder of the day. I will talk
Good
to
thing
you
you have
guys later.
handhelds.
Yeah, I'll talk to you guys later, and we will see you all in the future.
Salute.
Bye.
Peace out.